Welcome back again to another GWT tutorial. And in this tutorial I am going to explain how you can run and debug a GWT project using GWT Super Dev Mode. So why am I making this video? Well, in the past I made a video in which I explained how to set up the GWT development environment and how to run a project using the GWT plugin in Google Chrome. However, Google has stopped the support for the GWT plugin some time ago, and at the moment of recording, as of last week, the plugin no longer works. So fortunately, the people behind GWT have created something called Super Dev Mode, which has been around for a while actually, as a means to run and debug your project, even though it is a little bit unclear to some people how to use this Super Dev Mode. So therefore I made this video. So let's start up Eclipse. I actually ended up searching around the internet as for how to use Super Dev Mode. There's actually quite a set of good articles around. However, things have become quite a fair bit easier than what they are described in those articles. So I am going to show the situation as it is at this moment, which is relatively easy to do even for somebody who's not very experienced. So yeah, I might put those articles in the description of my video for people who like to see something more in depth. But for this video I'm going to keep it simple. What I'm going to discuss is how to run Super Dev Mode and how to debug in it. So let's wait for my Eclipse to start up. So there we are. I'm going to demonstrate this with one of my older projects. Okay, first of all, in order to use Super Dev Mode, you need to have a fully updated Google Web Toolkit plugin or Google plugin. So you can install that by going to Help, check for updates. In my case, I've already fully updated my Eclipse, so all the features are available. You can check whether or not you have the feature available by right-clicking on a Google Web Toolkit project. And right now my Eclipse is a bit hanging, so let's just give it a few seconds. There we are. And check for it run as. And then see if GWT Super Dev Mode is available in the menu. Okay, that's the reason why my Eclipse is so slow, is because it's still building the workspace. So let's just give it a second to finish. Okay, there we are. It's done. So now it should be a whole lot smoother. There we are, the GWT Super Dev Mode. So if you click on this, essentially the project will start running in a separate code server engine, which then can be used by by Google Chrome. However, okay, let's explain a few things more. What I've done here is I have updated all my SDK versions to up until version 2.7, which is the current version. Why am I saying this? Is because a lot of the settings that you need to do in your project in order for Super Dev Mode to work are already included in version 2.7, 6.160. As a matter of fact, I've run some projects today that were using 2.51 that required no further settings. Having said that, what I'm going to show you first is a setting you have to add in particular to your old projects in order for Super Dev Mode and debugging to properly work. Okay, so at the bottom of my GWT XML file, so my project XML file, I'm going to add the following line: add linker name equals XSI frame. There we go. And just to make it clear, I'm going to add a comment there, and I'm going to say run Super Dev Mode. Okay, So that's all. I noticed especially in all projects you have to add this. In the later GWT versions this is already included, because I noticed if you create a new project you don't need to do any of this. Okay, so now as for running Super Dev Mode, you're just going to right click, choose Run As, and then Web Application GWT Super Dev Mode. Okay, so in my development mode window I get a URL to run my project. In my console it will actually start compiling my code and running the engine. So let's just wait for that first, because there's one additional step I'd like to do. There we are. So when the compiling is done, you get this particular URL here, which is the URL of the code server that is executing your code. So let's go to Chrome. Okay, so when I key in copy the URL here, I see GWT code server. Drag these two bookmarklets to your web browser bar. So let's drag them. There we go, that's one. And that's two. So basically these can be used to recompile your project while you're running it. In the past you could just do a Ctrl F5 on your browser. In this case they've provided you with a little button to do it. Okay, so let's go to that other URL that we have here and run our app. Okay, so this is the project. It's now perfectly running in Google Chrome again, because the plugin was no longer supported from version 44 onwards, which is the version I have here currently. So okay, well let's try and make a little change here. It's been ages since I used this code, but it should be alright. Should be this one. So person info. I'm just gonna change that to personal info just to see what it does. So let's press this dev mode on button and press compile. See, there we go. It now says personal info. Okay, other than that, yeah, the app should still be working. There we go. Okay, and why I picked this project is because this project has a client-side code and a server-side code. So the other thing I would like to show is how to do debugging. In the past, both on the client-side code and the server-side code. Okay, in the past we could just put a breakpoint in Eclipse, and in that case the breakpoint would just trigger. So say if I put a breakpoint here at this in my on module load, and of course I'm gonna stop it, and then debug as Web Application GWT Super Dev Mode. Okay, if now at this point I run this, it actually waits for the code compiling to complete. I've also noticed in some projects it actually shows code is compiling. Okay, so now it's done. I can just rerun it again, and there we are. Okay, so we are now running in debug mode, but you notice that my breakpoint, which is placed on my on module load, does not trigger. So we need an alternative to debug. So how can we do that? Well, in this case we can actually use, and it takes a little getting used to, we can actually use the debug features inside Google Chrome to do this. This brings about a little bit of a problem. The thing is, you may remember Google Web Toolkit, you write Java code, but it's actually compiled and run on the fly as JavaScript. Meaning, if I go to the debug mode, the debug mode console in Chrome, using right-click inspect element, I will actually see my HTML, and in some cases, I mean, it's also possible to debug JavaScript. But I want to see my Java code. Fortunately, there's something called source mapping implemented in the code server and in Google Chrome. So if I click on sources, it actually shows the URL of my code server here. So I can unfold this and go to Source Maps, GWT Project 5, which is my project, and go into the package, which is edu example project 5 client, and I actually see my normal code packages there. As a matter of fact, I can even see my main file here with my on-module load. So I can add a breakpoint here by getting the program to stop. So let's refresh. So it now says paused in debugger, so I'm actually here. I can use this particular button to go to the next line. So we now jump to the next line, and next line, and then we go into something funny where I don't want to go debugging, so let's just continue, and there we are. So yeah, that's the breakpoint on the client side. Having said that, on the server side I can still add a breakpoint there. So let's once more rerun this program. So again, it stops on the client side naturally because my breakpoint is still there. So let's continue. Okay, you may remember my program just made on the first page an RPC call to the server to the getPersonInfo method. So since my server side is still running in my Eclipse, I can still use debug mode there. Yeah, and just press continue, and then things will continue here again. Okay, one more time. Jack Sparrow, save. So again, it hits my breakpoint in update person info. Just going to remove that and continue. So there we go, person info saved. Press back, and there we are. So yeah, that's pretty much in a nutshell how you can run a project in Super Dev Mode. So one more thing, just to conclude this. Okay, let's stop. Let's create a project using the latest SDK. So that would be Super Dev Test, edu example test. Okay, I'm not going to use the app engine in this case, and I'm going to use the 2.7 SDK. Press finish. Okay, so in this particular case I do not have to add that particular add linker line. So let's just see if it works. So run as GWT Super Dev Mode. I mean, I've generated it with the example code, so it should be perfectly fine. You may remember when you create a project, there is some example code included, so we're just going to test running that. Okay, once again, let's wait for the server is already ready. So let's just copy this, go to Chrome again, paste. Okay, so now it shows compiling. And when it's done, I can see my example project there, so there we go. And of course, if I want to go in here, inspect elements, and I go to sources again, I can again see the source code of my whole project. Okay, there you have it. I hope this was helpful in helping you continue your GWT projects, especially now the Chrome plugin is no longer working. So that's all for now, and see you next time.